Hi first graders! So today we're going to be reading Even an Octopus Needs a Home by Irene Kelly. There's no place like home. That's true for people and animals. Animals need homes for many of the same reasons people do. They need a safe place to sleep, store food, and raise their families. How does an animal make its home? Some animals build with branches. Others sculpt with mud or weave with sticks. Simply curl up in a cave or take shelter in the hollow of a tree. And for one little spider, all it takes is a bubble. Tree houses. Chimpanzees love a view, but they want a new one every night. Each evening, chimps make new nests high up in trees. It only takes a few minutes for the chimps to bend branches and build sturdy sleeping platforms as high as 80 feet off the ground. Young chimps have fun jumping up and down on their beds. Sound familiar? Monk parakeets create huge treetop apartment buildings. The construction begins with just one pair of birds. The two parakeets weave sticks together to make a ball-shaped nest. Another pair comes along and adds its nest to the first one. More and more parakeets add nests to the ever-growing home until a bustling colony has been created. Some monk parakeet nests can be as big as a car. Hunter and white bats nibble the veins on leaves, causing the leaves to fold. Up to 12 bats can sleep together in one leaf. Bees, wasps, and some ants make themselves at home in trees. Honeybees begin the big job of building their hives by squeezing tiny bits of wax out of their abdomens. They chew and mold the wax flakes into cells, which the bees layer to make into a honeycomb. The honeycomb is a nursery for baby bees and pantry for storing honey. The queen forms paper wasps make their tree homes out of paper. The queen begins by chewing bits of wood into a mushy paste. She pats the paste into a branch using her front feet. As the paste dries, it turns into a strong paper. The queen forms cells out of the paper and lays one egg in each cell. When the larva hatches, it builds more cells and attaches them to the hive. Up to 200 wasps can live in one hive. Weaver ants use teamwork to build their leafy homes. They link together to create an ant chain that spans 2 leaves. The ants pull the edges of the leaves together until the edges are almost touching. They glue the edges together. How? The ants sway back and forth across the gap as they squeeze a larva. The larva oozes sticky silk threads that bind the leaves together. Weaver birds push, pull, and knot fibers and vines to create their woven homes. Male Montezuma oropendulas make purse-like nests that can be 6 feet long. These industrious birds live in large groups or colonies. A single colony usually contains 30 nests, but up to 172 nests have been spotted in one tree. Towers. Many city dwellers live high up in apartment buildings, and some animals make their own skyscrapers. Termites may be only half an inch long, but they can create towers that are 30 feet tall and house 3 to 5 million insects. Underground passageways lead to food pantries, nurseries, and even indoor gardens where the bugs grow mushrooms for food. European redwood ants build the tallest towers of all ants. They stack pine needles and twigs until they have constructed a mound up to 6 feet high. This tower hides and protects a maze of tunnels and chambers underneath, where the ants live and raise their young. There can be hundreds of thousands of European redwood ants in one nest. There's a lot of ants. Towering homes are constructed underwater too. A single coral polyp is the size of a pencil eraser. By linking together and stacking on top of each other, the coral polyps create a colony on the ocean's floor called a reef. The Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia is made up of millions of coral polyps and spans more than 1,200 miles. The reef has been growing for 500,000 years and is so gigantic that it can be seen from space. Reefs are like underwater cities. They are teeming with life. About 1,500 species of fish live on the Great Barrier Reef. So do 4,000 types of mollusks and 30 different types of marine animals. Lodges. Beavers are excellent carpenters. Their lodges can last 20 years. Before building their homes, beavers make a dam. Using their sharp front teeth, they cut down trees and chew them into logs. They create a dam by piling up the logs. The dam holds back the river water and causes a pond to form the perfect setting for the beaver lodge. To make their lodge, the beavers carefully stack logs and plaster them with mud. Then, the beavers build a chimney to keep fresh air flowing into the lodge. The beavers make 2 or more underwater tunnels, one for everyday comings and goings and the other for emergency exits. If a predator sneaks into one tunnel, the beavers can escape through another. You can see both tunnels right here. That is pretty cool. There's actually a dam down the street from my house, and I think it's as tall as me or bigger. Caves. Our early human ancestors lived in caves, just like some animals. A huge octopus lives in a tiny cave. How does it get there? Easy. An octopus doesn't have any bones, so it can squeeze through a small opening. After a female octopus has found the perfect cave, she hangs about 200,000 eggs from the ceiling. Moray eels squeeze into snug underwater caves too. Brown bears need toasty homes where they can snooze away the winter. Some move into rock caves, some dig dens in the sides of mountains, and others curl up in hollow spaces under the roots of big trees. Bear cubs are born in the dens during the winter, under the tree. Bats hang around all day long. They cling to the ceilings of caves with their talons, sleeping away the day. Mothers give birth upside down, and their new babies nurse upside down too. Caves are safe, hidden places for bats to raise their families. Bracken Cave in Texas is home to a gigantic bat colony. 20 million Mexican free-tailed bats live there. If you gathered all those bats together, they would weigh 270 tons. That's heavier than 45 elephants. Wow, that's an interesting wow fact. Many polar bears dig dens out of snowdrifts, and that's where they sleep during the coldest months. A pregnant polar bear usually creates 2 rooms in her den, one for herself and a nursery for her cubs. The pregnant bear will give birth and raise her cubs tucked away in her sheltered home. There's an air vent and an entrance tunnel in their den too. Ringed seals use sharp claws on their front flippers to carve out dens inside snowdrifts. They come and go through holes in the den's floor that lead to the frigid water below. The seals give birth and tend to their pups inside these snug layers. So polar bears, seals, and bears all do the same thing inside their den. Burrows. Some people build their homes underground. That way they can stay cool in the summer and warm in winter. Certain animals live underground too. Badgers live in vast underground mansions. These burrows, or sets, can have more than 100 entrances, 50 rooms, and a half-mile of tunnels. Each set has shared living areas, private bathrooms, and bedrooms with soft beds of grass and straw. Leafcutter ants tunnel deep into the earth to create an underground city where millions of ants can live. These ants carry leaves that are 30 times their weight to their nests. That's like a person carrying a pickup truck. The leaves are used as compost or fertilizer for a special type of fungus that the ants eat. Rabbits live underground in cozy side-by-side burrows called warrens. Saw a baby bunny by my house the other day too. I wonder if there's a burrow in the yard somewhere. A pistol shrimp digs a burrow in a lagoon or reef. Sometimes the shrimp allows a goby fish to move into its home. Why? The shrimp has poor eyesight and needs to be warned when a predator is approaching. The shrimp touches the tail of the goby fish with one antenna. When there is danger, the fish flicks its tail. The two animals dart into the safety of their shared home. A tortoise's strong shell is like armor. It protects the animal from hungry predators. When the tortoise is scared, it pulls its head, legs, and tail into its shell. But its shell isn't a home. Most tortoises live in habitats that are very hot or very cold. They tunnel into the ground and make burrows where they are protected from the harsh weather. A couch's spadefoot toad has a shovel-shaped toe on its hind foot that's perfect for digging. Floating homes. Some people make their homes on the water in a houseboat. Some birds live in floating homes too. This canvas-backed duck hasn't spotted the egg a redhead duck deposited in her nest. Many redhead ducks make their homes by collecting plants and shaping simple, floating nests in swamps. But some redhead ducks cheat. They lay their eggs in the nests of other ducks, letting them do all the work of hatching and raising the ducklings. That's not nice. The male magpie goose constructs a nest by bending reeds and trampling them flat. Then he waits for two females to come along. The females share the job of hatching the eggs and raising the goslings. Mobile homes. When people want to take their homes on the road, they live in mobile homes. Many sea creatures live in movable homes too. Seashells. One of them is a little octopus called the paper nautilus, or argonaut. The female uses the calcium she secretes to make a paper-thin shell where she will hide her delicate eggs. And sometimes when there is danger, she'll take shelter inside the floating nursery. Hermit crabs don't make their own homes. They borrow the empty shells of other sea creatures. As hermit crabs grow, it moves into larger and larger shells. If the crab is lucky, a sea anemone will attach itself to the shell. By waving its stinging tentacles around, the anemone scares away predators. When the weather is too dry, snails put their soft bodies onto their shells and seal themselves in with slime. They can stay in their shells with no food or water for months. Bubbles. Some sailors live underwater in submarines, and one little spider makes its own underwater home out of a single bubble. The diving bell spider spins its silk into a ball, fills the ball with air, and drags it underwater. The bubble provides the spider with air to breathe and a place to lay its eggs and raise its spiderlings. A male Siamese fighting fish builds a multi-bubble nest. He gulps air and spits it out over and over again until he has created a bundle made up of hundreds of bubbles. After mating, he scoops the eggs into his mouth and spits them into the bubble ball to hide them. It's kind of cool. I never knew that animals lived in bubbles. There are many types of animal homes, ranging from deep underground burrows to towering mounds, and from delicate bubbles to sturdy lodges. Some animals make homes that last a lifetime, while others make new homes every night. And some animals don't build homes at all. They simply move into caves or borrowed seashells. But all animals, including humans, need homes for the same reason: to have a safe and snug place to live and raise a family. I hope you learned a lot about where animals live. We're going to use this book to help us write an opinion.